The sun dipped low over the dusty fields of Willow Creek, Tennessee, streaking the sky with deep shades of orange and pink. A 16-year-old girl stood alone in a dirt-stained plaid shirt, her fists clenched tight. Her name was Ellie Harper, and the fire inside her hazel eyes looked fierce enough to burn the ground beneath her boots. Across from her, 3 boys, big, loud, and merciless, circled her twin sister, Sarah. Sarah lay crumpled on the dirt, her glasses cracked, her lip bleeding, tears staining her cheeks. Their laughter sliced through the air like blades as they mocked her for being weak, for being different. Ellie's heart pounded like thunder. These boys had no idea what they had just awakened. Ellie Harper wasn't merely a farm girl, she was a legend. A ghost whispered about within the most secretive fighting force on Earth. And today, they had made the worst mistake of their miserable lives. This day in Willow Creek was far from ordinary. Willow Creek was a tiny town, 1 gas station, old wooden barns, and the kind of place where everyone knew everyone else's stories. Ellie and Sarah Harper were known simply as the Harper Girls. They were raised on a family farm, waking before sunrise to milk cows and working until dusk hauling hay. But the twins were opposites. Sarah was gentle, quiet, always with a book in hand. Ellie, on the other hand, was all fire, brave, stubborn, bold, and fiercely protective of her sister. People knew them, but only a handful ever suspected the truth about Ellie. At 18, Ellie disappeared from Willow Creek. Rumors swirled, some said she joined the military, others claimed she had died. The truth was far stranger. In 2010, Ellie did leave, but not for any ordinary life. After grueling training that broke even the strongest men, she earned a place in Delta Force, the United States Army's most elite and hidden division. Her codename, Viper. She became a phantom, slipping into war zones, dismantling terror networks, then disappearing without a trace. Her missions were erased, her identity scrubbed clean. Officially, Ellie Harper didn't exist. But to Sarah, she was still the sister who braided her hair and chased fireflies at night under the Tennessee stars. After 6 long years, Ellie returned. Not forever, just for a week to check on Sarah and their aging parents. She stayed quiet, blending back into farm life as though she had never left. But trouble always finds those who try to hide. That afternoon, while Ellie repaired a fence at the edge of their land, Sarah's scream tore through the air. Ellie dropped her tools and sprinted. Her boots struck the ground hard as instinct took over. At the clearing near the old oak tree, she found Tommy Grayson and his 2 sidekicks, classic small-town bullies, towering over Sarah. Sarah clutched her books, her shoulders shaking as Tommy mocked her stutter. "Say it again, freak," he taunted, kicking dust into her face. "Cat got your tongue." Ice filled Ellie's veins, then ignited into raging fire. She stepped forward, her shadow stretching long across the dirt. The boys stopped laughing. Her presence hit them like a storm, silent but heavy with the promise of destruction. "Move away from my sister," she said quietly, her voice sharp and cold. Tommy smirked, judging her by the messy ponytail and old boots. To him, she was just another farm girl. He had no idea. "Or what?" he sneered. "You gonna cry like your freaky twin?" Ellie's eyes narrowed. In her mind, she wasn't in Tennessee anymore. She was back in Syria, in Colombia, in battlefields where 1 second of hesitation meant death. Her body moved before she thought. In a flash, she grabbed Tommy's wrist, twisted it behind his back, and slammed him onto his knees. His scream cracked the air. He lunged, but Ellie was a hurricane. 1 sidestep, an elbow to the ribs, a knee to the gut. Within seconds, the 3 boys lay groaning on the ground. Sarah scrambled up. "Ellie, stop! They're not worth it." But Ellie couldn't hear anything except the blood roaring in her ears. She crouched in front of Tommy, her voice dangerously low. "If you ever touch my sister again," she whispered, "I'll bury you so deep they'll need a map to dig you out." It wasn't a threat, it was a vow forged in years of facing monsters far worse than him. Tommy broke, nodding furiously, eyes wide with terror. Ellie stood, gently brushing the dirt off Sarah's jacket. "Let's go home." But this wasn't over. Tommy Grayson wasn't the type to let humiliation slide. He was the sheriff's son, the most powerful man in Willow Creek, a man who treated the town like his own kingdom. By evening, the story had twisted. Rumors painted Ellie as the aggressor, a violent outsider who attacked 3 innocent boys. The sheriff's office buzzed with lies, and Tommy fueled every one of them. At the Harper kitchen table, Ellie sat with a cup of coffee, Sarah across from her, pale and shaken. Their parents exchanged tense looks. "Ellie," her father said softly, "you can't go fighting the sheriff's boy. This ain't the army, this is home." "They hurt Sarah," Ellie answered. "I wasn't going to stand by." Sarah squeezed her hand. "I'm okay, Ellie. You don't have to." "Yes, I do." Ellie's voice burned. "Nobody touches you. Nobody." The next morning, Sheriff Grayson arrived with flashing lights and a smug Tommy beside him, arm in a sling for drama. "Ellie Harper," the sheriff announced, "you're under arrest for assault." The room fell silent, but Ellie simply stood. "Are you sure you want to do this?" she asked calmly. For a brief second, doubt flickered in his eyes, but pride won. He cuffed her and dragged her to the cruiser while the town whispered. The Harper girl had messed with the wrong family. At the station, Ellie sat in the cell unshaken. She'd been through far worse. But her thoughts stayed on Sarah, and the danger that wouldn't stop. Meanwhile, Tommy searched the Harper barn with his friends for something, anything to use against Ellie. They found an old duffel bag with a combat knife, a burner phone, and coded notes from Ellie's missions. He didn't understand what he'd found, but he knew it was powerful leverage. And miles away, Ellie's former handler in Delta Force, Connell Rohr, received notice that Viper had surfaced. Fear flashed across his face. If enemies she'd made over the years discovered her location, the consequences would be deadly. "Send a team to Willow Creek," he ordered. Meanwhile, Ellie was bailed out after her parents mortgaged a piece of their land. At home, Sarah burst into tears. "They're saying you're dangerous," she whispered, "that you're not who you say you are." Ellie knelt. "I'm your sister. That's who I am, and I'll protect you, always." But trouble didn't end there. Tommy had shown Ellie's gear to his cousin, a lowlife connected to a hill country militia. The cousin recognized it immediately. Soon, the information reached Victor Krall, a former arms dealer Ellie had taken down years ago. Recently escaped from a black site prison, he wanted revenge. When he heard Viper was in Tennessee, he smiled like a man reborn. The next morning, a black SUV thundered into Willow Creek. Krall had arrived with armed mercenaries. Within minutes, the peaceful town turned into chaos. Krall's men stormed the streets demanding Ellie's location. Sheriff Grayson tried to intervene, but one gunshot dropped him to the ground. They were here for Viper. Nothing else mattered. Ellie was in the barn when she heard the engines. Her instincts screamed danger. She shoved Sarah and her parents into the cellar. "Stay down. No matter what." Ellie retrieved a hidden stash in the attic. Her weapons: a pistol, a rifle, grenades. Viper was back. The mercenaries surrounded the farmhouse. "Viper!" Krall bellowed. "Come out, or we burn everything." Ellie scanned the area, thinking rapidly. She could fight, but not with her family inside. Then she saw headlights. Rohr's team racing toward the farm. They were minutes away. Ellie didn't wait. What followed was a brutal display of survival. She moved through shadows, silent, invisible. One mercenary fell to a knife, another to a chokehold. She rigged a tractor to explode, drawing more men into a fiery trap. The farm turned into a battlefield. Krall, knowing her too well, cornered her in the barn. "You ruined me," he snarled, pressing a gun to her temple. "Now I ruin you." Ellie's eyes flicked upward, the rope trap she'd set earlier. "You talk too much," she said. A quick pull, a beam swung down, slamming into Krall. She grabbed his gun, and in a brutal hand-to-hand fight, she put him down hard. When Delta Force arrived moments later, the battlefield had quieted. Mercenaries were dead or captured. Krall lay defeated. Rohr stepped toward her. "You can't stay here, Viper. Not after this." Ellie looked at the farmhouse, at Sarah standing in the doorway with awe and fear mingling in her eyes. "I know," Ellie whispered, "but I had to protect her." Willow Creek was changed forever. The Grayson family's grip on the town shattered. Tommy's lies exposed. The townspeople whispered about the Harper girl who saved them, though none knew the entire truth. Ellie disappeared once more, leaving only a letter for Sarah. "You're stronger than you think. Live your life. I'll always be watching." As the sun rose over the wrecked farm, Sarah stood alone, holding the letter, grief and pride woven together. Her sister wasn't just a warrior, she was a legend, and Sarah would carry that forever.